See it.
It's too close, too fast, too loud to hear. I try to slow it down, try to disappear. But what he says, right here, right here. Heart pounding hard, might move quick. Thoughts single tight, none of them fit. Plans fall apart like threads undone. Grasping for peace, but I find none. Eyes wide open, sleep won't come. Counting breaths, but I still feel numb. The harder I fight, the less I see. Anxiety's grip won't set me free. Too heavy, too fast, too close to fall. I reach for calm, but slips through it all. Am I grounded or just holding tight? Chasing peace that's out of sight. I see the rim, mind on repeat. Each small worry takes control of my feet. Breath turns shallow and chest feels tight. Running circles with no end in sight. Walls close in, time slows down. Each new thought pulls me around. I try to hold on, try to stay. My balance breaks and I sway away. Heavy, too fast, too close to fall. I reach for calm, but slips through it all. Am I grounded or just holding tight? Chasing peace that's out of sight, but it's out of sight. Maybe this weight is teaching me grace. Maybe I carry what I need to face. It's not the fight that pulls me low. It's fear of falling, fear of letting go. Tight in my chest, loosen my grip. Try to stay steady, but always slip. Still I move, step by step. Anxiety close, but I'm not done yet. Facing the floor, mind won't quit. Every small thing feels too big to fit. Thoughts in the air, my chest feels tight. Like running a race with no end in sight. The walls closed in, I try to breathe, but each breath feels like it won't leave. Count the steps just to stay in place. Anxiety always sets the pace. Heavy, too fast, too close to fall. I reach for calm, but slips through it all. Am I grounded or just holding tight? Chasing peace that's out of sight, but it's out of sight. I've searched for silence, begged for rest, but peace won't settle inside my chest. So I move forward, scared but free. Taking each step that belongs to me. Headed too far, so close to fall. I reach for calm, but slips through it all. Am I grounded or just holding tight? I search for silence, beg for rest, but peace won't settle inside my chest. So I move forward, it's scared but free. Taking each step that belongs to me. Too heavy, too fast, too close to fall. I reach for calm, but it slips through it all. Am I grounded or just holding tight? A moment of calm feels like a lie. Like clear skies, hiding storms nearby. I take a breath, just one more try, but it slips away and I don't know why. Well, feels sharp, I'm so exposed. Every door opens but quickly they close. I brace myself for what's to come, but the fight feels endless, I'm still alone. Too fast, too close to fall. I reach for calm, but it slips through it all. Am I grounded or just holding tight? Chasing peace that's out of sight. Still moving, still moving. Breathing, let go. Breathing, step by step. You get the dreams we gave you.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. I am so happy to be here tonight. I am Bishop Vanessa M. Brown. I am the senior pastor of Rivers of Living Water United Church of Christ. And I am happy to be here so that we can present our last installment of the movie Inside Out. We've been talking about emotions, Inside Out 1 and 2. And so they have been quite wonderful. We have already done Joy, and Reverend Vaja Parker was the person who presented us joy. And then we moved to sadness, and Reverend Tanya D. Jackson presented us sadness. Then we went on to fear, and Reverend Dr. Stacy May presented us fear. I'm sorry, before we went to fear, we went on to anger, and Reverend Dr. Danielle Bahuro was the person who brought us anger, and then we moved to fear, Reverend Dr. Stacy May. Tonight, we have two great preachers that are coming our way. I want y'all to do me a big favor before I start to announce them. I want you to make sure that you are sharing in Facebook and on YouTube and letting people know. And if you don't see them and you know they're usually on, make sure that you share with them. I've shared with people as I could. And so now I am asking you all to do me a favor and start sharing with people. Tonight, we have Reverend Kim Wylie. Reverend Kim Wylie has been a member of Rivers of Living Water United Church of Christ for at least 15 years. I'm so very happy to have her. She started off as a deacon, went on to be a minister, amen, became ordained, went to seminary, went to New York Theological Seminary, got her master's degree in pastoral care and counseling, and came right on into the church and has been able to help me with pastoral care and counseling. Such a blessing. Uh, Now she is getting her Master's of Divinity at MTSO. And so I am very happy to present Reverend Kim Wylie along with her partner who stands alone in her own right. She is a graduate. She's got an undergraduate degree from Stony Brook University in psychology, and now she is pursuing her master's in mental health at Hofstra University. I want you all to give a warm, viral welcome to Reverend Kim Wylie and Sister Tayna Garnett.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. The anxiety that I just had, Pastor, when you said preaching, there will be no preaching tonight. But good evening, Bishop, and thank you all. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to discuss mental health through this series. And to everyone who has joined us this evening, welcome. Okay, all right, guys, bear with me. Let us pray. God, we come before you today with grateful hearts, asking for your guidance and wisdom as we explore the topic of anxiety. We thank you for your presence in our lives, for being the source of comfort and peace through all of our emotions. Help us to understand the beauty of each feeling you created within us, and remind us that you walk with us through every joy, sadness, fear, and anxiety. We open our hearts and minds to receive your word, and let your peace calm any anxious thoughts within us. May this time bring us closer to you, to strengthen our trust in you and your perfect plan. In Jesus' name. So for the past few weeks, we've been discussing emotions. Week 1, we had Reverend Vaja who told us joy is an emotion, and yet joy is more than a feeling. Joy is more than happiness. Joy is more than pleasure. God's presence in joy. Joy is fruit of the Spirit. Week 2, we had Reverend Tanya tell us about sadness. We cannot have sadness without appreciating the beauty of joy. She reminds us that weeping may endure for the night, but joy will come in the morning. Week 3, we had Dr. Danny, who says that anger is a human emotion that we cannot ignore, that it's okay to feel angry, that we are human, that anger is an outward expression of our hurt, fear, and sadness. In fact, she says anger is sadness that had nowhere to go for a very long time. Week 4, we had Dr. Stacy, who says fear is crucial for your survival. That fear is not negative, but fear can be healthy. That fear is fun, educated, ambitious, and respectful. That we need to push past our fear. And so now we're at week 5 with Reverend Kim and me with anxiety. So we're all faced probably with anxiety at some point. And if you have never experienced anxiety, oh, there is no holy oil, no spiritual bath, not your grandmama's prayer that can stop the feeling of anxiety. As someone who's fascinated by the way that minds and body connect, I find it how brilliant Meg LaFiore, I believe the writer of Inside Out, created a cartoon that explores emotions in a way that even children can understand. She managed to create a story that not only entertains, but also opens the door for meaningful conversation with kids about their feelings and mental health. The movie theaters were not only filled with kids, they were filled with adults who went on their own to just see it. For many of us, Riley's experience as a 13-year-old feeling anxiety without understanding what her body was going through felt very relatable. Inside Out tapped into our inner child, bringing us back to a time when we were too faced with unfamiliar emotions. And if it didn't take you back to your childhood, perhaps it reminded you of a more recent time, a recent experience when we all were in a state of anxiety that we felt during the pandemic. We were afraid to even breathe the same air, or a simple cough would get us on edge, or it might make you want to fight. That was our anxiety taking over our bodies, reacting with fear in the face of uncertainty. Joy, sadness, anger, fear can all bring you anxiety. Have you ever felt so happy that you were afraid something bad might go wrong? That's anxiety. Or have you ever been so sad that you couldn't sleep at night, scared, worrying what might happen next? That's anxiety too. If I can be transparent, I remember years ago when my father passed suddenly, one day while driving on the highway, my heart started racing. I felt lightheaded and my chest tightened. I thought I literally was having a heart attack. I was so scared. And at the time I said, I didn't know what to do. I was driving. I just felt myself shaking. And I said, I was so overwhelmed that I drove myself straight to the hospital. Once I got there, of course, once you go to the hospital and you say you have chest pain, right away they take you in and to check you. They told me after running many tests that it was not anxiety, it was a panic attack. That was my real first experience with anxiety. See, I'm one of those people that no matter what is going on, I keep going, I just keep going. I'm overwhelmed with grief, I keep going. Overwhelmed with work, I keep going. But your body keeps count within, and it manifests in different ways. And one of them for me was anxiety. My body was telling me it was time to do some self-care. You'd be surprised at the statistics of anxiety today. This year alone, in 2024, anxiety remains one of the most prevalent mental health conditions worldwide. According to recent reports, around 275 million people globally live with anxiety disorders, which includes a wide range of types of like generalized anxiety disorder, social anxiety, and panic disorder. This translates to about 3.5% of the world's population. So now let's talk about Riley and how all the emotions played a part in how they end up all coming together for her good. Reverend Kim, what can you tell us about anxiety?
Thank you so much, Tayna. What can I tell you about anxiety? Anxiety can be a lot, and anxiety comes with a lot. So much so that when we are first introduced to anxiety, anxiety shows up on the scene literally carrying suitcases, depicting the excess weight and baggage anxiety comes with. Baggage of stigma and shame, the weight of worry and what ifs. So for the time that is ours together, I would like to shed light on an emotion few like to talk about and far too often gets a bad rap: anxiety. Slide 2. We will explore what anxiety really is, why it shows up, and highlight some practical ways to manage it. Slide 3. As we know, Inside Out continues the story of Wylie, a young teenager whose emotions are personified in the characters of joy, sadness, anger, fear, and a few others. In the sequel, we are introduced to anxiety just as Wylie is entering high school. In the movie, anxiety is portrayed as a natural part of Wylie's emotions, which brings us to our very first highlight in understanding what anxiety really is. Anxiety is real, a real valid emotion. It's not like anything that is in your head. You know, like Tayna shared earlier, it involves both physical and psychological responses. Anxiety is normal. It's a universal human experience. Everyone experiences it. It's a normal part of our human makeup. Anxiety can also be biblically traced in both Old and New Testament. King David, the man after God's own heart, who faced Goliath with boldness, also hid in caves because he was overwhelmed. And we have Jesus himself in the Garden of Gethsemane, fervently praying, so much so that the Bible tells us his sweat was like drops of blood. Anxiety is natural. It's an universal human emotion, not a respecter of persons. It doesn't discriminate. It affects young, the old, the black, white, rich, poor, straight, and gay. Some well-known celebrities have anxiety challenges, in the like of Jay-Z and Keke Palmer. Like an uninvited guest, it shows up at any time. Next slide. Anxiety is not inherently bad. Not a demon or a lack of faith. That's just bad theology and religion. It's not anything that needs to be cast out or exercised. And I just felt that I needed to express that because it's time that we start to debunk myths concerning anxiety so that more people can accept anxiety for what it truly is and we can begin to normalize it. Next slide. Anxiety can either be healthy or unhealthy. Healthy anxiety motivates us to prepare for things in the future, like the New York City Marathon that's coming up, job interviews, exams, or even a teaching series like this. Anxiety is unhealthy when it becomes excessive, irrational, creating disorder to your daily life functioning, aka anxiety disorder. Too much anxiety can distort our sense of self, feeling of not being enough, sense of inadequacy, often leading us to self-sabotage. It uses false projections of how we see ourselves. We have anxious thoughts that consume and take over our thoughts, causing restlessness, insomnia, preventing our brain and body from resting. In the movie, we see how anxiety torments Wylie in her sleep, causing her to toss and turn throughout the night. Anxiety serves as our inner signal, an internal alarm telling us to pay attention. Pay attention to what's going on around us that is adversely impacting what's going on within us. Why does anxiety show up? Shows up to do what anxiety does, to protect us from perceived danger In Riley's case, anxiety shows up in an attempt to keep Riley safe. It has a job to do, like all of Riley's other emotions. Joy makes her happy. Sadness makes Riley sad. Fear protects her from her stuff she can't see, and anxiety's job is basically to protect Riley from the scary stuff she can't see. But none of them get to define who Riley truly is. Throughout the movie, we find that anxiety stays in constant conflict with joy. These two emotions are at odds throughout most of the movie. And the message is clear. Anxiety steals our joy. It's joy that struggles the most when anxiety shows up. Like joy tells anxiety, they don't get to define who Riley is. And our emotions don't get to define us either. They only serve to remind us how intricately God has designed and created each and every one of us to be. Fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are God's work that I know so well. Anxiety can also be connected to unprocessed fear or emotion. In the movie, we see anxiety doing her best to keep Riley safe by co-opting the control panel of Riley's mind, pushing buttons, trying to protect her by anticipating the worst case scenarios. How many of us have done this? We try to hold on so tight to control that we forget to live. We grip anxiety thinking it's going to keep us safe, but instead, it just keeps us stuck. Next slide. Anxiety can have a snowball effect. If left unchecked, it can become an avalanche. It starts with one small worry. What if they don't like me? What if I don't fit in? And we all know worry only begets worry. Worry. Like a rocking chair, it gives you something to do, but doesn't get you anywhere. We sit rocking back and forth, thinking we're solving something, but in reality, we're not doing anything, just making ourselves tired. Next slide. For the most part, anxiety has good intent. It wants to protect Riley from all potential dangers, but anxiety tries so hard that she begins to spiral, repressing all of Riley's other emotions, creating a battle within, which manifests into a panic attack. Heavy breathing, shortness of breath, panting, sweating, tears, chest pain. So often, anxiety shows up the same way in many people's lives. In the movie, we see part of what helps Riley work through her panic attack. She begins to rub the bench she's sitting on. She touches something. Touching something is just one of several techniques used in managing anxiety. A benefit to our journey with anxiety is that we are not left to our own devices. There are several ways we can approach anxiety to lessen its hold on us. Let's take a look. There are some tools and techniques to help manage anxiety. There's deep breathing, which is one of the most yet an effective way of dealing with anxiety. Taking slow, deep breaths help calm the body fight or flight response and can bring you back to the present moment. There's grounding techniques. The movie shows Riley work through her panic attack by touching the bench she's sitting on. Touching something is a grounding technique, a way to reconnect with the present moment when we find ourselves spiraling. The 3-3 rule. When feeling overwhelmed, name 3 things you can see, 3 things you can hear, and 3 things you can physically touch. Then there's the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique. This exercise helps brings us back to the present moment by engaging our senses. It focuses on sensory detail. 5, name 5 things you can see. 4, identify 4 things you can touch. Focus on the textures and sensations around you. 3, listen for 3 things you can hear. 2, find 2 things you can smell. And 1, notice 1 thing you can taste. Then there's mindfulness, paying attention and focusing on the moment. What's happening around you? What's happening within you? Seek community and connection. Share your truth and your struggle with others, family, friends, and loved ones. The weight of anxiety becomes lighter when shared. Seeking help when feeling anxious is a strength, not a weakness. No one needs to suffer in silence or in solitude. Acceptance and letting go. Anxiety has a voice and so do you. Use it. Just because anxiety may have a say, it doesn't have the final say. Acknowledge what's happening. Accept that it is happening and speak to it. Do what Joy did in the movie and speak to anxiety and say, let me go. And lastly, but certainly not least, when it comes to managing anxiety or any other type of overwhelming emotion, I am a firm believer of utilizing what I call the 3 Ps. What are the 3 Ps? I'm glad you asked. Prayer. Whatever you're struggling with, take it to God. God tells us to cast our cares, and then and only then will you receive rest. Don't try to handle it on your own. Let prayer be your anchor. If you need a pill, take it. You may need medication to manage, and that's okay. And if you find prayer and a pill isn't working, you may need a pillow. Find a professional to talk to. Lay down on somebody's couch and let it all out. Remember, your emotions don't dictate who you are. Learn to speak over yourself. What's manning your control panel of emotions today? Sadness, anger, fear, anxiety? Tell it, let me go. You don't dictate who I am. I am not my emotion. Defeat the battle within and reclaim your sense of self today. Thank you. And so now that concludes this portion as we navigate over to the Zoom for more talk back and discussion.
Thank you both so very, very much. I love it. Yeah, I am not my emotions. I am not my emotions. And one of the things you said that was very, very powerful is speak to it. Speak to it. Tell somebody you got to speak to it.
Gotta speak to it.
Right? Speak to it and tell it to let me go. I love that. And I love that you normalized anxiety, that people have it. Tayna gave excellent information on the percentage of people and the dynamics of it. And then you all just broke it down together. Thank you. Wonderful presentation. It was awesome. And we want to encourage you all to give on tonight. And so, in fact, if you do want to give, we want to make sure that you sow. And whatever you're sowing, we want you to go on and send it to the church. If it's for Kim and Tayna, for both of them, you're going to go either online to our website, and our website is www.riversnynjucc.org, or to our PayPal, and our PayPal is paypal.com/PayPal me2/Love Rivers. And we have apps. So if you're giving, we ask that you go to $Rivers UCCNY or $Rivers NJUCC. And certainly, if you want to give a donation in the old-fashioned way, You can write a check and make it payable to Rivers and mail it to 557 Grand Concourse Parkway, Suite 3-128, Bronx, New York, 10451. We appreciate each and every one of you. We encourage you to sow a seed tonight because you know that it was a good word. We pray that it has transformed and changed your life. And we're going to go to the Zoom room. We're going to go to the Zoom room. And so they are, here it goes right now. The talk back in the Zoom room is all right there. You see it falling down into the chat. I want you all to, yes, continue to put your hands together for Reverend Kim and Sister Tayna tonight for such a wonderful presentation on anxiety. Again, you can go to our Zoom. The meeting ID is 898-379-35214. And then you can inbox us for the passcode, or you can just click that link and it'll take you right there. Click the link. We want to say God bless you. I see you, Bishop Love. Thank you so much. And Carl Majet, Reverend Carl Majet, thank you for being on. Dr. Danny, Layla, thank you. That's Trina, thank you so much. Leo for being on. I see you, Deacon Val. Thank you, Sugar Bear, Deacon Sugar Bear for being on. From City of Refuge, Maya, Sarah, Tanya, y'all meet us in the Zoom room so we can have a conversation. Reverend Bernie, Darlene, thank you so much, Dr. Stacy and Leo. I see you all on tonight. Minister David, if y'all can join us, Dr. Danny, join us in that room so that we can talk about anxiety. Thank you all so very much. We ask that you have a wonderful evening. God bless you. I see you, Deacon Val.